Welcome to day 145 on the trail. We have four readings for today from 1 John chapter 1 verse 1 through 2:17, Deuteronomy 22 verse 13 through 23:25, the 132nd and 133rd Psalms, and 1 Maccabees chapter 12 verses 1 through 23. We begin today in Deuteronomy chapter 23, beginning in verse 21. It reads like this: If you make a vow to the Lord your God, do not postpone in fulfilling it, for the Lord your God will surely require it of you, and you will incur guilt. But if you refrain from vowing, you will not incur guilt. Whatever your lips utter, you must diligently perform, just as you have freely vowed to the Lord your God with your own mouth. Here in Deuteronomy, we find instructions on vows made to God. First, those who make vows should not neglect or delay in fulfilling them, since they were entered into voluntarily. Notice that this passage, however, does not define what is considered to be a reasonable amount of time for keeping such vows made to God. According to Jewish tradition, a general rule was that vows should be fulfilled by the next pilgrim festival. However, this was later relaxed to 3 festivals. Yet setting a time limit seems to miss the point of this text. Those who make vows to God will know if they are intentionally delaying them, which seems to be the point here. We see in our reading today from Psalm 132 an example of a vow made to God when David promises to find a location for the building of the temple. Psalm 132, beginning in verse 1. O Lord, remember in David's favor all the hardships he endured, how he swore to the Lord and vowed to the Mighty One of Jacob, I will not enter my house or get into my bed. I will not give sleep to my eyes or slumber to my eyelids until I find a place for the Lord, a dwelling place for the Mighty One of Jacob. Now there is another option provided in Deuteronomy, and that is, do not make vows in the first place. No penalty is incurred for not making a vow, but failure to keep the vow, once it has been made, comes with serious consequences. And this is the view that Jesus gives in Matthew 5, verses 33 through 37. There Jesus says, Again you have heard that it was said to those of ancient times, You shall not swear falsely, but carry out the vows you have made to the Lord. But I say to you, do not swear at all, either by heaven, for it is the throne of God, or by the earth, for it is his footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. And do not swear by your head, for you cannot make one hair white or black. Let your word be yes, yes, or no, no. Anything more than this comes from the evil one. In 1 Maccabees chapter 12, I wanted to briefly highlight Jonathan's efforts to confirm alliances with Rome and the Spartans. Given the uncertainties surrounding the situation in Judea regarding the Seleucids and the Ptolemies, Jonathan reaches out to establish friendship with both the Romans, the rising superpower in the region, and the Spartans, who had regained prominence following Rome's defeat of the Achaeans in 146 BC. However, in Jonathan's letter to the Spartans, he also highlights his faith in God's protection. Notice Jonathan's statements in verse 9 and then 14 through 15. Therefore, we have no need of these things, since we have as encouragement the holy books that are in our hands. We were unwilling to annoy you, and our other allies and friends, with these wars, for we have the help that comes from heaven for our aid. And so we were delivered from our enemies, and our enemies were humbled. As we continue to read 1 Maccabees, we will have to see if Jonathan truly trusts God, or if he is trying to cover his bases, so to speak, by establishing alliances with foreign nations. Finally today, we begin the letters of 1st, 2nd, and 3rd John. First, who were the authors of these 3 letters? The language and ideas of these letters are very similar to the Gospel of John, which we just completed. Therefore, many have identified the author of these 3 letters as the same author as the Gospel of John. However, there are also differences in the writing style which may point to another author who is believed to be an elder in the church and perhaps part of the same early Christian community as the author of John's Gospel. Now, the exact occasion for the writing of these letters is difficult to determine. For example, we do not know if all 3 letters deal with the same situation or even the same community. However, the letters seem to be addressing political, doctrinal, and moral disagreements within the church. The central issues seem to surround the proper understanding of Jesus. Here, the trouble facing the church is not from without, but from within. According to the author, there seems to be a faction in the church who is denying that Jesus is the Christ, and they had departed from the traditional beliefs about Jesus, such as his humanity. This has led some scholars to believe that the opponents being addressed in these letters believed that Jesus was a spirit and not a physical human being. This is also known as Docetism. Therefore, the author encourages the readers to cling to what they have heard from the beginning, that Jesus was both fully human and the fully divine Son of God. We see this immediately in 1 John chapter 1, beginning in verse 1. We declare to you what was from the beginning, what we have heard, what we have seen with our eyes, what we have looked at and touched with our hands concerning the word of life. This life was revealed, and we have seen it and testify to it, and declare to you the eternal life that was with the Father and was revealed to us. We declare to you what we have seen and heard, so that you also may have fellowship with us. And truly our fellowship is with the Father and with his Son, Jesus Christ. We are writing these things so that your joy may be complete. The author also focuses on Jesus' commandment to love one another. Since they share one spirit, they are also to share the same love for one another. In 1 John chapter 2, beginning in verse 9, whoever says, I am in the light, while hating a brother or sister, is still in the darkness. Whoever loves a brother or sister lives in the light, and in such a person, there is no cause for stumbling. But whoever hates another believer is in the darkness, walks in the darkness, and does not know the way to go, because the darkness has brought on blindness. And this reflects Jesus' new commandment given in John 13, beginning in verse 34, which reads, I give you a new commandment, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you should also love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. Thank you for joining us today. Until next time, stay on the trail.